The rain hammered the windows of the cramped Brooklyn brownstone like it had a personal grudge, turning the world outside into a smeared watercolor of gray despair. I stood there, Howard Ellis, 37 years old and invisible, clutching the rejection letter that wasn't even mine to hold. It was for the manuscript I'd poured my soul into editing, only to watch it get axed by some faceless exec uptown. Too raw, the note said, as if my life bleeding onto those pages was a flaw, not a feature. And then the door buzzer screamed, uninvited, like fate's cruel punchline, pulling me from the edge I'd been teetering on all week. I wiped my face. Rain or tears, who could tell? And hit the intercom. Yeah. Delivery for Howard Ellis. Sign here, Chief. The voice was gravelly, laced with that East Coast bite that said he'd seen worse storms than this one. I buzzed him up, figuring it was another stack of slush pile horrors from the agency. But when the door swung open, it wasn't a harried courier with a soggy box. It was Eugene Carver, all 6'3" of him, dripping wet in a tailored wool coat that probably cost more than my rent. His dark hair plastered to his forehead like he'd just stepped out of a noir film. Those piercing green eyes locked onto mine, and for a split second, the rain outside seemed to hush. Eugene? What the hell? He didn't let me finish. He thrust a leather satchel into my hands, water sluicing off it onto my welcome mat that read, "Wipe your paws." "Read it," he said, his voice low and urgent, like we were conspirators in some underground plot. "All of it, before you decide to hate me forever." I knew who he was, of course. Eugene Carver, the wunderkind author who'd skyrocketed to fame with his debut thriller 3 years back. A gritty tale of corporate espionage that had Hollywood buzzing and critics fawning. But to me, he was the ghost who'd haunted my inbox. The client who'd ghosted our agency after one too many "polish this emails from yours truly." The forgotten editor who'd slaved over his rough drafts only to get a polite "thanks but no thanks" when he jumped ship to a bigger fish. And now here he was, on my doorstep, looking like he'd driven straight from a boardroom brawl. The satchel held a single manuscript, unbound pages thick as a brick, the title scrawled in his jagged handwriting. Shadows in the Stacks. I flipped it open, the first line hitting me like a gut punch. In the dim-lit archives of forgotten lives, one man's secrets unravel the empire he built on lies. "Why me?" I asked, my voice cracking despite myself. The rain picked up again, drumming a frantic rhythm. "Because you're the only one who ever saw me," he replied, stepping inside without invitation, his presence filling the narrow hallway like smoke. Not the brand, not the sales figures. Me. That night, as the storm raged on, I sat cross-legged on my threadbare couch, the manuscript splayed across my lap like a battlefield map. Eugene had collapsed into the armchair opposite, nursing a mug of my weak instant coffee. His coat draped over the radiator like a defeated flag. He didn't explain more, just watched me with those eyes that seemed to peel back layers I didn't know I had. The story poured out in fragments. A librarian named Theo, mid-40s, widowed and adrift in the musty halls of the New York Public Library's Rare Books division. Theo's life was a quiet erosion, nights blurring into days of shelving tomes that whispered of loves long lost, his own heart buried under stacks of regret after his husband's sudden death 5 years prior. Then enters Victor Hale, the slick venture capitalist with a predatory smile and a proposal. Digitize the library's archives for a tech startup, turning public treasure into private profit. Victor's charm was a weapon, honed in boardrooms, but beneath it lurked a vulnerability Theo alone could sense. A man who'd clawed his way from foster homes to penthouses, only to find the view hollow. As I read, the words blurred not from fatigue but from the raw ache they evoked. Eugene's prose had evolved. It wasn't the polished pulp of his debut. This was bone-deep, laced with the kind of emotional shrapnel that left readers and editors bleeding. Theo and Victor's worlds collided in stolen glances over mahogany desks, late-night arguments in the lion-guarded halls that dissolved into tentative touches. It was romance wrapped in thorns, Victor's ambition clashing with Theo's quiet integrity, their attraction a slow burn that ignited in the shadows of forbidden stacks. By page 200, I'd forgotten the rejection letter crumpled on the floor. Eugene shifted, his knee brushing mine accidentally, or was it? And the air thickened. It's not finished, he admitted when I paused to stretch. I hit a wall. Betrayal. The kind that guts you. I looked up, meeting his gaze. Up close, without the gloss of book jackets, Eugene was just a man. Faint laugh lines etching his temples, a scar above his left eyebrow from some boyhood scrape. Like what you did to Apex Lit? I couldn't help it. The bitterness slipped out, old wounds reopening. He winced, running a hand through his drying hair. That wasn't betrayal, Howard. That was survival. Apex was bleeding me dry, endless revisions, zero vision. You fought for my voice, but the suits upstairs? They wanted safe, marketable. I had to run. And now? Crawling back because your big-shot editor bailed. Something like that. He leaned forward, elbows on knees, the vulnerability cracking his facade. Truth? I never stopped thinking about you. Your notes, they weren't edits. They were lifelines. Make it hurt more, you'd say. And damn if it didn't. The rain eased to a patter, the city lights flickering back to life through the panes. I set the manuscript aside, the weight of it lingering in my chest. Stay, I said, the word escaping before reason could cage it. Help me finish it. He stayed. We talked until dawn, words tumbling like the storm's last gasps. My stalled career at Apex, where I'd become the invisible fixer for ungrateful scribes. His whirlwind rise that left him isolated in a Tribeca loft, surrounded by accolades that echoed hollow. Somewhere in the haze of shared confessions, his hand found mine. A brush of knuckles, then a hold that anchored us both. It wasn't fireworks. It was embers, warm and insistent, stirring something I'd long buried under professional detachment. By morning, the manuscript had a new direction. Victor's betrayal wasn't corporate greed alone. It was personal. A lover from his past resurfacing, dredging up secrets that threatened to topple their fragile bond. Theo, ever the guardian of stories, would have to choose. Preserve the library's soul or salvage Victor's fractured one. As Eugene dozed on the couch, I watched him, the rise and fall of his chest syncing with the distant rumble of the subway. For the first time in years, the brownstone didn't feel like a tomb. It felt like possibility. But possibilities, I've learned, are just setups for the fall. The next week blurred into a rhythm we'd both been craving. Mornings at my local diner on Atlantic Avenue, where the hash browns were greasy perfection and the coffee strong enough to wake the dead. Eugene would sketch plot twists on napkins while I dissected character arcs, our laughter drawing side eyes from the regulars. Afternoons bled into the New York Public Library itself. Research, he called it, but we both knew it was procrastination wrapped in romance. We'd wander the Row's main reading room, its vaulted ceilings like cathedral arches, whispering about Theo's quiet defiance, as if he were a friend we'd lost touch with. You're good at this, Eugene said one crisp October afternoon, as we emerged from the subway onto Bryant Park. The leaves were turning, a riot of amber and crimson carpeting the lawns where vendors hawked hot cider. Seeing the heart in the mess. I shrugged, shoving my hands into my coat pockets to hide the flush creeping up my neck. Years of wrangling egos. You learn to spot the real story buried under the bullshit. He stopped, turning to face me, the park's bustle fading to a hum. Is that what this is? Bullshit. My breath caught. The question hung there, heavy as the manuscript pages we'd pored over. Eugene's eyes searched mine, that green depth pulling me in like a riptide. I dated, sparingly, cautiously, since Marcus left me 5 years back, his abrupt exit after a decade together citing irreconcilable silences. But this was different. Eugene wasn't a safe harbor. He was the storm. No, I whispered, stepping closer. The world narrowed to the space between us, the faint scent of his cologne mingling with fallen leaves. Our lips met, soft, tentative, then deepening with the urgency of withheld breaths. It was a kiss that tasted of cider and regret, promising more than either of us dared voice. We pulled apart, breathless, as a jogger whizzed by, oblivious. Howard, he murmured, forehead against mine. This scares the hell out of me. Me too. From there, the lines blurred. Evenings in my brownstone turned intimate. Takeout from the Thai place on the corner. Manuscripts spread across the coffee table like a shared diary. Eugene opened up about his own ghosts. The foster system that taught him trust was a luxury, the debut novel born from that rage. I'd counter with tales of Apex's cutthroat corridors. How I'd risen from intern to senior editor only to fade into the slush pile's shadow. One night, as snow flurried outside, early for November, but New York never played by rules, we lay tangled on the couch, the fire I'd coaxed from the ancient grate casting golden flickers. His head on my chest, fingers tracing lazy patterns on my arm. Theo forgives Victor too easily in this draft, I said, voice rumbling against his ear. Eugene tilted up, smirking. Jealous? Worried I'll write you in as the villain. I chuckled, but it died quick. Just make it real. Forgiveness isn't a switch. It's a scar that fades but never vanishes. He studied me, then nodded, pulling me closer. Noted. For the book, and for us. The word settled like snow, soft but accumulating. For the first time since Marcus, I let myself believe in it. But snow melts, and scars reopen. Winter gripped the city like a jealous lover, blanketing Brooklyn in a hush that amplified every creak and sigh. By December, Shadows in the Stacks was a living thing between us, revised chapters stacking higher than the unread queries on my desk. Eugene had sublet his Tribeca place, claiming the commute was killer, but we both knew it was more. A nesting, tentative and thrilling, in the nooks of my life he'd claimed as his own. Apex called me back to the office sporadically, their fluorescent-lit Warren on Madison Avenue a stark contrast to our cozy chaos. Ellis, where's that Carver follow-up? My boss, Miriam, barked over the phone one sleety morning, her voice all edges. We need something to plug the holiday slump. I hesitated, glancing at Eugene sprawled across my kitchen table, red pen in hand, muttering over a dialogue snag. It's evolving. Give it time. Time's money, Howard. Don't make me regret keeping you on retainer. The line went dead, leaving me staring at the receiver like it had betrayed me. Eugene looked up, concern etching his brow. Them again. Yeah, pressure's on. I sank into the chair beside him, rubbing temples that throbbed with unspoken fears. What if this book flopped? What if it succeeded and swallowed us whole? Our nights had deepened, kisses evolving into embraces that spoke of healing wounds neither had named. But love, real love, was a manuscript full of plot holes waiting to be filled. He set the pen down, his hand covering mine. Hey, we're in this. Together. That together carried us through the holidays. Christmas Eve, we strung lights along the brownstone's fire escape, the strings twinkling against the night like defiant stars. No family for either of us. Mine scattered across Ohio, his non-existent, so we made our own. Roasted chestnuts from a street vendor, a playlist of Sinatra crooning through crackly speakers, and a tree so small it barely blocked the radiator's hiss. Under its lopsided branches, Eugene pressed a gift into my palm. A vintage fountain pen, its barrel engraved with, "To the editor who sees me." I swallowed hard, inking a quick note on a torn manuscript page. To the writer who revives me. We made love then. Not rushed, not scripted like some romance trope, but slow, reverent, bodies mapping each other's histories in the firelight. It was vulnerability incarnate, his whispers against my skin like annotations to our unwritten future. New Year's dawned crisp, the ball drop a distant roar as we clinked mugs of champagne-spiked cocoa on the roof. To shadows lifted, Eugene toasted, his arm around my waist. To stories unfinished, I replied, leaning into him. The city sprawled below, a glittering beast indifferent to our small triumph. But beasts have teeth. January brought the first crack. An email from Apex, CC'd to Eugene. A contract offer for Shadows, fat advance and all, but with clauses that twisted my gut. Creative control ceded to their vision team. Revisions mandatory. Eugene forwarded it to me with a single emoji. A raised eyebrow. They're playing hardball, I said that night, pacing the living room as snow devils danced outside. The manuscript lay open on the table, Victor's betrayal scene glaring up like an accusation. He lounged against the doorframe, arms crossed. It's leverage. We shop it around Simon and Schuster, maybe Penguin. Apex doesn't own us. Us. The word slipped out sharper than intended. This is your book, Eugene. Your career. And yours in ways that matter more. He crossed to me, hands on my shoulders, grounding. Howard, listen. I didn't come back for a polished job. I came for you. We argued then, not yelling, but the kind of quiet dissection that leaves deeper cuts. My fears of invisibility clashing with his of isolation. The industry's grind versus art's purity. It ended in reconciliation, his lips sealing the rift, but the seed was planted. Doubt, that insidious editor's mark. Weeks later, as the manuscript neared completion, Eugene vanished for a day. No call, no text. Just an empty side of the bed when I woke to the alarm's blare. Panic clawed my chest. Visions of accidents, relapses into old solitude. By noon, my phone buzzed. A voicemail, his voice strained. Meeting ran long. Love you. Home soon. Relief soured to suspicion when he rolled in at midnight. Thai Askew. Smelling faintly of bourbon and something floral perfume? Client dinner, he explained, dropping a kiss on my forehead before beelining for the shower. Schmoozing for the book. I nodded, but sleep evaded me that night, the ceiling a canvas for what-ifs. The pattern emerged subtly. Late nights labeled networking, cryptic texts mid-conversation. I buried myself in final edits, Theo's arc mirroring my unease. His trust in Victor fraying as boardroom whispers hinted at ulterior motives. Make the betrayal sting, I scribbled in the margins, my own heart echoing the plea. February's chill deepened when Miriam summoned me to the office. The conference room overlooked the gray churn of the East River, her desk a fortress of contracts and coffee rings. Carver's shopping the book, she said without preamble, sliding a printout across. Emails between Eugene and a rival agent, dates time-stamped during our together months. My stomach plummeted. He mentioned exploring options. Options, she snorted, adjusting her glasses. This is poaching, Howard. He's using your work, your insights, to bait a better deal. If he signs elsewhere, we're sunk. I stared at the pages, Eugene's words leaping out. Howard's touches elevated it, raw, emotional. But I need a partner who fights for the vision, not just the bottom line. Partner. The ambiguity knifed me. Was that us? Or a euphemism for the agency he truly wanted? Fix it, Miriam said, her tone brooking no argument. Or we're both out. Numb. I cabbed back to Brooklyn, the city a blur of sodium lights. Eugene was waiting, dinner simmering pasta, his go-to apology dish. Rough day? He asked, stirring sauce with feigned casualness. I slapped the printout down, the thud echoing. Explain. His face drained of color, spoon clattering to the stove. Howard, it's not. Save it. The words tasted like ash. You used me, my edits, my trust, for a better deal. No. He reached for me, but I flinched back. It was reconnaissance. Feel out the market, then loop you in. Apex is toxic. You know that. And I'm what? Collateral? The dam broke then. Tears hot, accusations hotter. Marcus's ghost loomed large. The silences that grew into chasms. The exit without goodbye. I let you in, Eugene. All the way. And you're still running. He deflated, sinking onto a stool. I'm scared. Okay? Success means losing myself again. But losing you? That's not an option. We talked or tried, until the pasta congealed, words circling like vultures. He swore transparency. No more secrets, full disclosure. I wanted to believe, clung to the man who'd kissed me under New Year's lights. But trust, once cracked, leaks. Spring teased with false thaws, cherry blossoms defiant against persistent frosts. The manuscript completed in fits and starts, its climax a gut wrench. Victor's ex-lover exposing embezzlement ties, forcing Theo to testify. their love fracturing under legal spotlights. Eugene poured his fears into it. I mine. Healing isn't erasure, Theo's final line read. It's choosing the scar. We submitted to Apex, the contract a begrudging compromise. More control for Eugene, my name on the acknowledgements. Miriam crowed victory, but it tasted Pyrrhic. Then, the launch party invite arrived. Black tie affair at the Strand, that literary mecca where books towered like ancient sentinels. Our night, Eugene said, nuzzling my neck as we dressed, me in a borrowed tux that hung loose, him sharp as a blade. But nights, I found, high daggers. The Strand's rare book room pulsed with the city's elite. Agents in power suits, critics nursing martinis, authors orbiting like planets around publishers' suns. Chandeliers dripped light onto Persian rugs, the air thick with perfume and pretense. Eugene navigated it like a shark, his hand firm at the small of my back, introducing me as Howard Ellis, the editor who made this magic happen. Smiles all around, backslaps for him, polite nods for me. The invisible made visible, if only for a breath. Theo's voice, Eugene's, really, echoed from hidden speakers. An audiobook snippet, the betrayal scene rendered in husky timbre. Guests clustered, murmuring approval, and for a moment, I swelled with pride. This was our creation, born from brownstone nights and rooftop vows. Then I saw her, Lydia Voss, Victor's fictional ex spun into flesh, or so it seemed. Tall, blonde, her laugh a cascade as she leaned into Eugene, crimson gown hugging curves like a second skin. Genius as always, she purred, air-kissing his cheeks. We must catch up. Dinner next week? Eugene extricated smoothly, but the damage bloomed. Who was she? Not a stranger. The familiarity stung. Back at the bar, I cornered him amid the clink of glasses. Old flame. He blinked, caught off guard. Lydia? God, no. She's my publicist from the debut tour. Harmless flirt. Harmless enough to catch up? The jealousy was ugly, but it poured out, fueled by champagne and old wounds. His jaw tightened. Howard, not here. Please. The please was a plea, but it ignited the fuse. We slipped into a side alcove, stacks of first editions muffling our voices. This is what I mean, I hissed. Secrets. Always another layer. It's networking, he countered, voice low. The game's brutal. You know that. And I'm the fool who thought we were more than the game. The words hung, a guillotine blade. Eugene's eyes flashed hurt, then steel. We are. But if you can't trust. The word ricocheted, shattering the fragile peace. We returned to the party fractured, smiles plastered like bandages. Miriam swooped in, toasting the deal, oblivious. To shadows, and the shadows it casts. Laughter rippled. I forced a chuckle, but inside, the chasm widened. The fallout simmered homeward, the cab ride silent as a grave. Brooklyn welcomed us with its unpretentious grit, pizza joints glowing, stoops lined with neighbors' chatter. But the brownstone felt foreign, our sanctuary tainted. Eugene broke first, tossing keys on the hall table. Talk to me, Howard. Don't shut down. I whirled, the tux constricting like chains. How can I? Every time I think we're solid, there's a Lydia, a rival agent. What's next? An ex who just wants to collaborate? He recoiled as if slapped. That's unfair. Lydia's professional. And the agent thing? I told you. Reconnaissance. I spat the word. Your favorite excuse. The argument escalated, voices rising to pierce the walls. He accused me of Apex loyalty poisoning our bond. I hurled his ambition as abandonment. It climaxed in a hurled manuscript page. Theo's forgiveness scene, ironically, fluttering to the floor like a white flag trampled. I can't do this, I gasped, chest heaving. Not if it's always half-truths. Eugene stood frozen, then nodded, defeated. Maybe you're right. Maybe I am the villain. He left that night, crashing at a hotel, the doors click a period on our sentence. I curled on the couch, the pen he'd gifted mocking from the table. Sleep came in fits, dreams of library shadows swallowing us whole. Days blurred into a gray routine, apex drudgery by day, solitary revisions by night. Eugene's texts trickled. Apologies. Please, then stopped. The manuscript, now orphaned, gathered dust. Miriam noticed my pallor, chalking it to creative strain. But the strain was heartbreak, pure and pulverizing. Spring unfurled without mercy, parks blooming while I withered. A care package arrived, the fountain pen, wrapped in a note. For when you're ready to write our ending. I didn't respond. Pride or fear? The line blurred. Then the call, Eugene, voice ragged. Read the post. Now. I fumbled for my laptop, the headline screaming, best-selling author Eugene Carver, accused of plagiarism in latest thriller. Below, a grainy photo of him leaving the Strand, Lydia at his side, her side now, the article alleged. Sources claimed shadows lifted beats from an obscure indie novel. Theo's arc a shadow of another's light. But the knife twist. Lydia, his publicist, outed as a scorned collaborator who'd pitched similar ideas years back. Scorned. The word echoed my fears. Eugene arrived an hour later, hollow-eyed, a ghost in jeans and hoodie. It's bullshit, he said, collapsing beside me. Lydia's revenge. I turned down her script pitch for the debut adaptation. She's twisting old emails. I handed him coffee, the gesture a truce. Why her? Why now? Timing. He scrubbed his face. After our fight, I met her for coffee. Clear the air, professional closure. She must have sensed weakness. Weakness. Like mine post-betrayal. And you didn't tell me. The admission hung. I didn't want to drag you into the mess. Stupid, I know. We sat in silence, the article's venom seeping. Then, slowly, I reached for his hand. Fix it. With me. He squeezed back, tears brimming. Together. Together. The scandal erupted like a summer squall, tabloids feasting on the drama. Apex lawyered up, demanding revisions or retraction. Eugene's agent jumped ship, citing reputational risk. We holed up in the brownstone, a war room of laptops and legal pads, dissecting the claims. Turns out, Lydia's evidence was smoke. Vague parallels, no direct lifts. But perception was the thief, and Eugene's star dimmed overnight. Nights were hardest, insomnia's grip, his head on my shoulder as we scrolled cease and desist drafts. I built this on nothing, he confessed once, voice muffled. Foster kid with a notebook. Now it's crumbling. You're more than this? I murmured, tracing his scar. Always were. Intimacy returned haltingly. Not passion's blaze, but comfort's ember. A hand on a knee during strategy sessions, a kiss goodnight that lingered. It mended, stitch by stitch, the fabric of us. By June, the storm broke. Lydia's bluff called, her own history of uncredited ghostwriting unearthed by a tenacious blogger. The case collapsed. Shadows released to mixed buzz, but the raw heart shone through. Readers latching onto its humanism amid the hype. Reviews trickled in. A tale of love's fragile architecture, one said. Carver and editor Ellis craft redemption from ruin. We celebrated quietly. Rooftop picnic, city lights are confetti. To scars, Eugene toasted with cheap wine. To choosing them, I added. But redemption, I've learned, is iterative, a draft never truly final. Summer sweltered in waves, the kind that turned Brooklyn stoops into saunas and tempers to tinder. Shadows climbed charts modestly, its controversy a double-edged sword. Scandal drew eyes, authenticity held them. Book tours beckoned. Eugene solo, me holding the fort at Apex, where Miriam dangled a promotion like bait. Senior acquisitions, she purred over lunch at Lupin Quotidian. If you bring me the next Carver. The irony bit, but I swallowed it. Our rhythm had steadied. Weekend getaways to the Hamptons, borrowed beach house where waves lulled us into candor. Eugene shed his armor there, swimming nude at dawn, body lean and scarred from life's skirmishes. I join him, salt-stung kisses tasting of freedom. Yet fissures lingered. Late July, a call from his tour stop in Chicago. Panel got heated. Some prof accused me of queer-washing, making Theo and Victor's love a plot device. I paced the brownstone, phone hot against my ear. Fight back. It's real, your truth, ours. Easy to say from afar. Weariness laced his tone. They see the villain, not the vulnerability. The word villain echoed, a callback to our origin. That night, alone, I revisited the manuscript, underlining passages where Victor's redemption rang hollow. Was it prescience or projection? August brought the hammer. Returning from a signings blitz, Eugene seemed off. Distant smiles, aborted sentences. Tour lag, he dismissed, unpacking in our shared closet. His clothes mingling with mine now, a domesticity I'd once craved. Then, the slip, a hotel keycard tumbling from his bag, Chicago's skyline embossed. Souvenir, he muttered, snatching it. But souvenirs don't hide texts. I found them by accident. His phone buzzing on the nightstand, screen unlocked. A string from L. Lydia? No, Lucas, an old college flame, tour photographer turned confidant. Missed you last night. That hotel bar toast? To us, finally free. The word again, a serpent. Confrontation brewed over dinner. Falafel from the truck on Smith Street, eaten on the fire escape as fireflies winked. Who's Lucas? I asked, voice steady as I could muster. Eugene froze, fork midway. What? Saw the text. Finally free. Ring any bells? His face cycled through denial, then defeat. Lucas was a what if from undergrad. We reconnected on tour. Harmless drinks. Nostalgia. Nostalgia that misses you? The hurt flared, hot and humiliating. While I'm here holding the line? It was one night, Howard. A kiss. Stupid. Lonely. A kiss. The minimizer ignited me. Like Lydia was coffee? Or the agent recon? He stood, pacing the narrow landing. I'm not perfect. This life tour's spotlights it pulls. But I chose you. Every damn day. Not enough, apparently. The words were a severance, clean but bleeding. Marcus's echo. Irreconcilable silences. Now amplified by betrayal's bassline. Eugene reached, but I recoiled. Space, I said. I need space. He left for a motel in Queens, the fire escape echoing his footsteps. Days stretched to weeks, texts a barren field. Apex promoted me anyway. Irony's gift. But the corner office felt like a cage. Manuscripts blurring through tears. September's equinox brought clarity, or so I thought. A package. The original satchel from that rainy night, stuffed with notes. Our napkins, scribbles, a letter. Howard. It began, Eugene's script shaky. You're the plot twist I never saw coming. The villain in my story was me, running from feeling. From you. If you'll have me, let's rewrite. I clutched it, heart warring with head. Forgiveness as scar. Choose it or let it fester. We met at the library. The real one, Rose Room at twilight, its lamps glowing like beacons. Eugene waited amid the tables. Diminished, hopeful. I ended it with Lucas. Therapy starts next week. No more shadows. I sat, the letter creased in my fist. Why now? Why me? Because you taught me healing isn't solo. It's shared. His hand hovered. I took it, the touch electric. Familiar. Reconciliation was tentative. Coffee dates, no overnights. Boundaries sketched like plot outlines. But autumn's palette softened us. Central Park walks, leaves crunching underfoot as we unpacked the whys. His loneliness on tour, my fear of erasure. Both villains in our narrative. By Halloween, he moved back, the brownstone sighing relief. We carved pumpkins on the stoop, jack-o'-lanterns grinning conspiratorially. To plot twists, he toasted with mulled wine. To surviving them, I replied, pulling him close. The kiss was homecoming, deep and anchoring. Winter loomed, but this time we faced it braced. Yet stories, true ones, reserve their twists for the denouement. December's hush descended. Holidays a gauntlet we'd navigate together. Shadows hit paperback, its film rights optioned. Irony. A queer romance greenlit by the studio that once deemed Eugene's debut too edgy. We attended the pitch meeting in Midtown, his hand in mine under the conference table, a silent pact amid Suits jargon. Authentic representation, the exec droned, eyeing us. Love the humanism, redemption arc sells. Eugene squeezed my fingers. I bit back the urge to quip, sells if it's scarred enough. Post-meeting, we escaped to Serendipity 3, frozen hot chocolate, a decadent rebellion. They're missing it, he said, spooning whipped cream. The real hook, choosing messy love over tidy endings. I nodded, but unease stirred. Success amplified scrutiny. Whispers of Carver's muse trailed me at industry mixers, reducing my role to footnote. New Year's Eve found us at a low-key bash in Williamsburg, loft party with fairy lights and indie folk strumming. Amid the revelry, Eugene pulled me to the fire escape, city fireworks blooming below. This year, he vowed, breath fogging the rail. No running. Full transparency. I believed him, wanted to, sealing it with a kiss that drowned the crowd's cheers. January thawed the ice, but not the undercurrents. Therapy unearthed his patterns. Attachment wounds from foster drifts, manifesting as flight when intimacy peaked. I'm working it, he assured, sharing session notes over brunch at Clinton St. Baking Company, pancakes towering like our hopes. I dove into my own shadows, journaling arcs of invisibility. Marcus's abandonment, Apex's grind. We're both villains in our heads. I told him one snowy night, curled by the fire. He traced my jaw. Then let's be heroes together. Spring bloomed tentative. A weekend in the Catskills, cabin rented via Airbnb, where we hiked trails slick with melt, hands linked against slips. Evenings by the hearth, reading aloud from shadows, laughing at clunky first drafts. Intimacy flowered, not just physical, but soul-bearing. His dreams of mentoring foster kids through writing. My whisper of starting a boutique press for unmarketable voices. Ellis and Carver lit, he joked, sketching a logo on a foggy window. Underdogs only. The name stuck, a seed, but seeds wither without sun. May's warmth carried a chill. An email from Miriam, urgent. Apex's merger loomed, redundancies slashing staff. Fight for your spot, she advised over espresso at her club, the Hudson glittering indifferently. Or jump, Carver's clout could launch you. Clout, the word soured. Back home, Eugene buzzed with tour prep, European leg for the paperback. Come with, he urged, packing amid chaos. Month off on me. Tempting, I hedged, laptop open to budget spreadsheets. The press idea gnawed, feasible if I quit, foolish if I failed. He paused, suitcase zipper stalling. What's holding you? Reality. The confession spilled. Merger fears. Our joint ventures gamble. What if I bet on us and lose everything? His face shadowed. Us isn't a bet, Howard. It's the sure thing. The argument simmered low, his optimism clashing my pragmatism. He left for Heathrow the next dawn, kiss lingering like a question mark. Alone, the brownstone echoed. I queried printers, crunched numbers, the press taking shape on legal pads. Calls with Eugene were spotty. Time zones, exhaustion. His I love yous tinny through static. Then the bomb. A UK tabloid blurb, forwarded by a colleague. Carver's Continental Conquest. Author spotted in cozy clink with mystery muse. Photo grainy. Eugene at a Paris cafe, arm around a lithe man. Lucas? No, a local journalist, per the caption. New inspiration for sequel? My call went to voicemail. His reply, hours later, tabloid trash. Interview setup, photo op gone wrong. Call me. I did, voice steal. Pattern, Eugene. Always a muse. A photo op. It's not. Static cut him or evasion. Trust me. Please. Trust. Fractured anew. He returned early, jet-lagged apology in tow. Airport reunion was tense. Hug stiff, cab ride silent. Home unpacked the rot. My drafts for the press, his notebook filled with Paris sketches, Victor's sequel, but laced with cafe vignettes that mirrored the photo. You're writing him in? I accused, flipping pages. The muse? Inspiration, not autobiography. Defensiveness sharpened his tone. Art from life. You taught me that. Life that's betraying us. The dam burst. Merger stress. Isolation's bite. His absence's widening cracks. I can't keep editing your escapes. He recoiled. And I can't keep proving myself. Therapy, transparency. What more? Presence. I whispered. Here. Now. The silence stretched. A chasm. Maybe the press is your villain, he said finally. Distracting from us. Or maybe you're mine. The words escaped. Irretrievable. He packed that night. Essentials only, eyes red-rimmed. Space again? Fine. But this time, decide if it's forever. Door closed. Heart shattered. Summer scorched on, merger axe falling. Me spared but scarred. The brownstone sold its echoes. I sublet, crashing at a friend's in Park Slope. Eugene's posts, tour wrap-ups, cryptic quotes from shadows. No direct reach. August's heat wave broke with thunder, mirroring my storm. Therapy solo now, unpacking the cycle. Love as project, betrayal as plot point. Humanism, my counselor said, means grace for imperfect arcs. Grace, could I extend it? September whispered autumn, leaves turning as I turned inward. The press launched quietly, Echo Press. First title, an indie memoir on foster resilience, dedicated obliquely to the shadow who taught light. Launch reading at a cozy cafe in Cobble Hill, crowd intimate. Midway, the door chimed. Eugene slipped in, unobtrusive at the back. Our eyes met, his questioning, mine wary. Post-reading, he approached, voice soft. Proud of you. It's you. Thanks. Awkward beat. Sequel coming? Soon. Needs an editor's eye. Pause, laden. Yours if you'll have it. The offer hung, bridge or bait. October's palette painted the city in fire. A fitting backdrop for reckoning. We started slow. Coffee at our diner. Neutral ground where hash browns bridged silences. Eugene shared sequel drafts. Victor's return. Haunted by choices. Theo's quiet empire of words. My red pen danced. Annotations gentle. Deepen the regret here. Make healing earned. Sessions bled into walks. Prospect Park's loops. Geese honking overhead like hecklers. He spoke of therapy breakthroughs. Confronting flight as fear, not fate. I admitted my villain. Control as armor, stifling vulnerability. You're not forgotten, Howard, he said one crimson-leaved afternoon. Bench creaking under us. You never were. I was the one lost. The admission cracked me. And I pushed you there. Demands over dialogue. Mutual grace, tentative. November's chill urged closeness. Thanksgiving potluck with queer-lit friends. Turkey carved amid toasts to found families. Eugene fit seamless, his hand finding mine under the table. A anchor in the chaos. Echo Press hummed. Second book greenlit. A poetry collection raw as winter wind. Eugene guest-edited. His foreword a love letter veiled. To the man who edited my heart. December circled back, holidays healed. We strung lights anew. The tree taller. Branches heavy with ornaments bought on impulse in Soho. Christmas morn. Amid wrapping paper carnage, he knelt. Not proposal but promise. A key, to a brownstone up the block, ours if we dared. Co-ownership, he clarified, grin sheepish. No running, just roots. Tears pricked. I pulled him up, kiss ceiling. Yes. New Year's on the new fire escape, city symphony below. To villains redeemed, he murmured. To stories shared, I replied. The sequel dropped spring, echoes in the margins, co-credited, Carver and Ellis. It soared, not bestseller blaze, but steady burn. Readers hailing its humanism. Love as revision, messy and true. Years folded, Echo thrived. Mentoring workshops for foster youth in Brooklyn basements. Eugene's passion realized. Apex faded to footnote. My visibility bloomed. Panels on editing the self. We married quiet, City Hall. Witnesses our lit circle. Rings simple silver etched with scar. Vows echoed Theos. I choose your shadows, as you choose mine. Healing, we learned, isn't endpoint. It's the ongoing edit, strikes and insertions shaping a life. Betrayal scar, but scars map the man. Resilient, real. In our brownstone, ours now manuscript stack beside dog-eared classics. The fountain pen ever ready. Eugene stirs beside me some nights, whispering plot twists into dark. I annotate his skin with kisses, our story unwritten, but profoundly, irrevocably, ours. And in that, the true hook. Not the fall, but the fierce, humanistic rise.